Today I'm going to talk about how I trained myself to stop being afraid to approach beautiful women with the intent of sleeping with them. This is a challenge that most men have at some point in their red pill development. And the reason for this is because rejection from girls is a mathematical inevitability regardless of how tight your game is. So I'll use myself as an example. During maybe a 2 to 3 day stretch, I'll approach, and this was at the height of my red pill playerdom. This is when I was fucking girls left and right. So anywhere between 2 and 3 days during that stretch, I'll approach 10 girls, give or take. Of the 10 girls I approach, I'll get 7 phone numbers. Of those 7, 4 will text back, and of the 4 who text back, 2 will agree to a meetup. At least one of those girls is going to flake on me, and depending on my game that night, maybe where she is in her menstrual cycle, or really any number of factors that could be at play, it's a 50-50 chance that I'll be able to close the deal and fuck her that night, and that's if I'm lucky. And if you're one of those guys who thinks that luck has nothing to do with sleeping with pretty girls, you need to think again. Yes, obviously, guys, having the ability to strike up conversation and escalate with women sexually is certainly a skill that has to be learned and cultivated. But using what I just talked about, the example that I just talked about, your closing percentage is at 10%, and that's high. And listen, if you're fucking 1 out of 10 girls you're approaching, you're a fucking god. All right. Any number higher than that can be chalked up to luck. Now, in my book, luck equals opportunity plus preparation. So when I say luck is involved, it's not saying that you didn't have a hand in your success with women. If you are prepared to capitalize on opportunities, you'll find yourself having a lot more luck than you might think. And if you're creating those opportunities, you'll also be getting more lucky. So by the same token, there are always going to be factors involved that are going to be outside of your control. Maybe the girl you approached, it might be on the outs with her boyfriend and is just looking for some validation while she works things out with him. You're probably not going to fuck that girl if she really loves him, and that's not under your control. Maybe a girl is ovulating and you happen to approach her at the right place at the right time and you end up fucking her that night. Again, I'm not suggesting you just walk up to a girl and the stars just align all on their own, no matter what your game level is, but you also have to understand that there are outside factors involved that you can't control in every situation. Keeping that in mind, keeping that in the back of your mind helps you to deal with rejection. And trust me when I tell you guys, rejection is part of the game. So if you approach a girl, your game is airtight, but you can't number close her, you can't fuck her that night, it might not even be because she didn't want to fuck you. It could be any number of things completely unrelated to her attraction level to you. That's where one of the elements of luck comes into play. So let's get in the reason why you came here, and that is how to conquer your fear of approaching girls. Now, we all know that rejection can be very difficult. We've all been there. And men who are in the bottom rung of the MGTOW movement, in other words, these are the men, there are many different kinds of MGTOWs, but I'm talking about the very lowest level. These are men who don't associate with females on any level, platonically or otherwise. Those guys, they cite rejection as the main reason. They want nothing to do with dating or fucking women or dealing with them on any level. And I can't say I blame them, man. Girls are a lot of trouble whether you're fucking them or not. If a man gets rejected enough, eventually he'll develop what we call approach anxiety. He will have experienced so much failure, his mind will almost involuntarily paralyze him when he sees a girl he wants to talk to. And again, who can blame him? If you put your hand on a hot stove and it gets burned, you're not going to want to put your hand on that stove again. It's a natural human response. Well, fortunately for us, the male ego can be repaired, and the way to do it is slowly and deliberately. Again, I speak from personal experience in this regard, so I'll talk about how I killed my own approach anxiety and literally became fearless when approaching pretty women. So not long after I found the red pill, I was an approach machine. Listen, if a female looked good, I walked right up and talked to her. Now, because my game was shitty, all right, I experienced a lot of rejection. But in the early days, I kind of shook it off because I figured, hell, if I talk to enough girls, I'd eventually be able to fuck one of them, right? Well, not necessarily. At least not the way I was approaching them. What I was doing is what I was going for broke with every interaction, rather than reading body language and verbal tone. And because I wasn't very good at it at the time, I failed with actually every girl I talked to. After a while of all of the failures, I started getting gun shy about approaching women because I didn't want to experience more rejection. Now, I knew that being scared wasn't going to get me laid, because you can't get laid if you don't talk to girls. That's basic math. You can't hit a home run if you don't swing the bat. So I came up with a very simple and very effective strategy to help me conquer my fear of talking to beautiful women and getting rejected by them. And it worked. It worked extremely well. So I'm going to share that with you guys today. This is a strategy that I'll call the progressive load strategy. This is a strategy similar to lifting weights. Nobody walks into a gym after 5 years, gets under the bar, and squats 300 pounds. Nobody does that. They have to start with lighter weights and work up to it. Well, it's the same with talking to girls and being unafraid to approach them. You have to take it in steps. You have to get good at performing one step before moving to the next. And with each progressive step is a little more difficult, or in weightlifting terms, a little heavier, as it were. So I came up with a 4-step, 4-week approach to getting rid of my fear of approaching girls with the intent of sleeping with them. And it takes about a month, give or take a few days, depending upon your schedule and progression. So I'm going to go ahead and share that with you guys right now. To get access to my 4-step, 4-week approach to getting rid of your fear of approaching girls and much more, subscribe to Donovan's Den on Patreon for only $5 per month. Just 37 cents a day gets you access to this exclusive content. Visit patreon.com/Donovan Sharp. You can also find the link on my homepage, my YouTube channel, or below in the description. Be sure to catch TSR live weekday afternoons at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific on YouTube. Thanks for watching.